Every vlog has to start someplace, and this is my start. Welcome to Losing for Life. My name is Scott, and this will be my journey of recreating my relationship with food, losing weight, and extending my health span. Thanks for coming along. So, as you can see, I'm a big guy. I've been challenged with my weight most of my life. I was heavy as a youngster. I was more height and weight proportional through high school and college, but then I gained weight and I had to lose weight for my wedding, and then I gained weight, and it's sort of this roller coaster, right, that we all hear about. And my most successful attempt at losing weight was actually a medically supervised modified fast. I did this about 25 years ago or so, and it was brilliant. I visited the hospital to have my blood drawn every week. I was monitored. There were classes to go along with it about how to be healthful, especially with regard to food. And it was actually pretty simple for me because all I had were these produced shakes, generally, chocolate or vanilla. They might have had a strawberry one. I don't recall. Chocolate's it for me, so that didn't really matter. But, and there were some challenging times. The most challenging was probably Thanksgiving dinner, where I sat at the table with everyone, and I had my liquid meal, and everybody else was taking part in the fare of the day. But I was okay with that, actually. I came away feeling better about what I did, and I think that all in all, that really showed me what I could do. And so by the time we got to the end of the 3-month period of this program, I realized that I really didn't want to go off the program. I realized that if I could, I would stay on those shakes the rest of my life because I knew I could do it. And the reason why, and this has something to do with my own nature, is that it was easy. All the answers to the questions about what I could have were no, aside from the shake. Furthermore, they were super quick to prepare. Later on, they came pre-prepared, and I spent almost no time with my meals, and I had a lot of extra time in the day, which was wonderful. But I had to come off, and I had to start moderating my diet and going back to the standard American food collection, as it were. And what I found was that I was doing okay with that. It was challenging, limiting portions and organizing stuff, but I was okay with it. And then I went to a training in Miami. This is about 2 months in to the maintenance part. And I should mention, I actually lost about 105 pounds in those 3 months on that program. Again, only do that with medical supervision. Do not try and do anything like that on your own. They were there to recommend any supplementation that was required or monitor if, something got out of whack. I mean, there's stuff going on in our bodies that we just don't know what's going on. And monitoring by a professional is hugely important. So please be careful with that. So anyway, I went to this training, and on the third day, when in the middle of the afternoon on the break, they brought in the tray of cookies and brownies, I sort of went with the program and said, well, I can have these every once in a while. So I had one. But you see, for me, that's like the first leak in the dam. That's the very first nudge off of to the beginning of the slippery slope. And from there, gradually, I became more loose and relaxed. You give a little bit here, then you give a little more here, or maybe you give a little bit a lot of times, So if I give one here and I have a cookie here and I have something here, those are all independent events, but when you add them up, they actually amount to something. You may be able to hear our cat Pirate in the background providing some commentary. I'll have to work on a translation. Not really sure about that. But anyway, that was hugely successful. But that's one of the times when I realized that I could change what I do drastically in terms of food as long as it is clean and concise and clear. And hopefully simple, right? So anyway, my doctor has showed me my chart of my weight, and it has that continual increased slope to it. So, I know that I can lose weight. The challenge is keeping it off. So about 2 years ago, a friend of mine, good friend, had signed up and was going to do gastric bypass. And this is something that I had actually explored about 10 years ago now. But the procedure I was interested in wouldn't be covered by my insurance. So I thought about that, and I realized that I needed to have, again, something drastic shifting in what I was doing. And that maybe it was the time. I knew that it was a successful procedure. I wasn't concerned about it surgically. I've had surgeries before, and I don't have any concern about that. But down deep inside, I really just didn't want to manipulate my internal organs like that. I wasn't afraid of being hurt by the procedure, but the lifestyle that it would require afterwards was not something that felt very good to me. But I did pursue it. I went so far as I had the appointment with the surgeon and their dietitian. I got their whole plan on how it would flow time-wise, and I was really at the point of signing some documents. Pirate wasn't very helpful at that point in time, and he's kind of annoying now, to be honest with you. But about 2 years ago, when I was really getting into it, my brother intervened, and he said, "Hey, look, I'm heavy too. I need to lose some weight. So maybe we could do this together. You do your thing, I'll do mine, but we'll check in every week, and we'll sort of monitor each other's progress." And that was an opportunity for like one more chance. And I thought, well, let's go for it. Let's try that out. And so I did. And it was somewhat successful. I did lose about 35 pounds. And then starting in December of last year, started having some challenges with the health of some of our family members. And through the year, we've had several losses, and most recently I lost the first of my close social group from high school. That's sort of a milestone right there. And we decided to look at things, and I got on the scale and realized that I was 20 pounds heavier than when I started that process with my brother. So once again, I realized that I needed help. I couldn't do this my way because trying to eat, standard American diet with other folks and being thoughtful and conscious about how much and stuff like that was just not successful for me. The moderation part was not successful. So once again, I pursued gastric bypass surgery. Now, fortunately, I'm actually relatively healthy. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I'm not pre-diabetic. I don't have prostate cancer. I don't have any variety of things. I do have elevated cholesterol, and I'm taking something to bring that down. So generally, I'm kind of blessed with pretty good health. I have a little sciatica, but nothing, big. But I had an appointment with my doctor for a health visit, a physical, about 2 months ago, and realized that my BMI had finally topped 50. And that was it. That was the last straw. So talking with him, started pursuing gastric bypass surgery again with the same group, and went to their, because it had been so long, I had to start at the beginning, so I went through their information process. And, it just didn't feel right. It was very uncomfortable. Again, thinking about how my eating was going to change, to accommodate this golf ball size stomach now, and all the side effects from that. Just are very off-putting for me. I just really don't want the surgery, but I'm not afraid of surgery. So anyway, I started that process again. And then one day I actually stumbled across a YouTube video of Penn Jillette, and the link is going to be down below. And this is just a short little piece where he talks about his experience in losing 100 pounds. Now, as I understand it, he actually did this process back in 2014, and he is still height and weight proportional today. So that sort of registered with me. And he started talking about, well, the first step was to do this mono diet, and he has had some real serious health issues. I'm not going to go into that. You can follow the video and see this information yourself. And we started out with what was called a mono diet, where you eat just one thing for 2 weeks. And I was pretty skeptical about that. That seems pretty out there, and I didn't really get it. And then he talked about what came down the road was a change in the microbiome and a taste reset, and that cravings kind of went away. In fact, he was saying the taste for things that he previously enjoyed just kind of fell away. Now that got my attention. That got my attention really quick. And so then at the end, he says, and now I eat whatever I want. That sounds great. That sounds great. But, he says, what I want has changed profoundly. And my head exploded. It's like, this is what I'm looking for, is to not have the urge to go for the donuts, for the cookies, for the chips, for the bread, any variety of things like that. So this really caught my attention. And so what I did, long story short, nerd that I am, I started reading, actually listening. I listened first on Audible for most of these, but I was blown away. The first one was Penn's book, Presto. How I made over 100 pounds disappear and other magical tales. And I warn you, this is not safe for work. Not in any way is this safe for work. And if you know Penn, you know why. However, he makes it a very personal story of what he goes through. And that was hugely helpful for me to sort of see the process that he was going through. And the key thing about this mono diet at the beginning, where he uses potatoes, is that it actually resets the palate. When you're eating all this bland stuff, there's no added salt, no added sugar, no added oil. You can't brush butter on the outside of the skin to crisp it up when you bake it. And really you have only two options, to bake or boil, so no chips, no cutting it into strips and air frying them, none of that stuff. It's and I'll create a video down the road about potatoes and varieties and such. But again, that kind of sounded weird to me until I thought about resetting the palate. Now, when you think about that, it's like, yeah, because I have these cravings for refined products. And if I can break that, which I certainly did on that modified fast, I broke all of those cravings. I even made a cheesecake for the for the table that year, and I really wasn't worried about doing that or being tempted to eat it. It was pretty interesting. So I know that can happen. And then he talked about how you introduce the foods that you want to become your friends. Anyway, I won't go into that much further. But again, he also referred to a friend of his, Ray Cronise, who actually suggested this plan. And you can see that in the video. And so the next book I got was Ray Cronise and Juliana Hever, I'm not sure. I apologize for butchering that. The healthspan solution. And he talks a lot about different nutrients and eating a whole food, plant-based diet without added sugar, oil, or salt. And Penn was talking about how all these flavors started to come out that he wasn't aware of before because they'd been either muted by oils or oversaturated by sugar or by salt or any other variety of things, but mostly those. So that was great. And then Penn later makes a reference to Joel Fuhrman. So I went to his book, Eat to Live, and again, the same type of information. And Dr. Fuhrman actually coined the term a nutritarian diet. And I thought, well, there's a bookmark I need to pay attention to. So again, a lot of great information about the nutrition of eating a whole food, plant-based diet. It was really fabulous. And then finally, the book that I couldn't get on Audible was again Ray Cronise and Juliana Hever's Plant-Based Nutrition, which I'm kind of going through now, actually. And again, just more detail on what's important in changing to this lifestyle and why it works, which is actually fascinating. Anyway, I'm going a little long here, so let me just cut it off. So this is my journey, right? But first, before I did anything, and yes, I will tell you, I'm about a week into my mono diet. It's actually going really well, again, for another video. But first, I talked with my doctor, okay, as I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned that I wanted to postpone surgery, and that would be my last resort, that this is really my last hope at avoiding surgery. He was supportive. He was super glad that I had an action plan in place, because we've had this discussion before. And I requested to take a baseline blood test so that we could kind of know where everything started out at. And he reported to me that everything looked fine, except for I was a little low on vitamin D. And I guess that's not surprising considering we spend so much time indoors. Maybe we shouldn't have this summer. My summer is a little challenging, but anyway, as I said, I'm lucky that I'm generally healthy. And so yes, I did start a mono diet exactly a week ago. And I chose potatoes because they are very bland. But it has also given me an opportunity to get a whole bunch of different varieties of potatoes and compare them, understand a little bit more about the potato. And again, I'll dive into that a little later. And actually, interestingly enough, my wife, who is height and weight proportional, but she thinks she has some weight to lose, and that's fine. And she's diving in with this too. So down the road, I don't have to worry about, preparing one kind of food for her and one for me. We're in this together, and it's really a blessing to have that support and to have that teamship. All right. So as I got into this, I started thinking, well, somebody out there has to be doing this already. And I need to be looking at their YouTube vlogs and checking them out. And really, the only ones that I found talking about the process of going through this is a channel called Crocs in the Kitchen. This is a couple who had a lot of weight between them to lose. It's a great story. And they've shared quite a bit of the process and some of their challenges, some of their failures. And I don't doubt that I'll have failures down the road. But they were just very warm and open and genuine with their process. They also do a lot of recipes. I don't know that I'm really going to get into that too much. I really want to talk about the process. I think there needs to be more discussion about what we experience as we go through this. So anyway, that's where we're headed. If you're interested, I request that you please subscribe to the channel below and maybe hit that bell to know when I post a vlog here. And please share in the comments below if you're on a similar journey, if you're thinking about going on a similar journey, or if you have other things to share. Please remember, this is a public forum. Let's be kind to one another, all right? So in closing, may you find joy in today and all of your tomorrows. Thanks for stopping in. Bye-bye.